Over 1.5 million people were enrolled in hospice in 2016, and November marks National Hospice Month.
And new this morning, hospice gives sick and terminally ill patients a more comfortable experience on what is usually some of their last days of living. And now hospice can be a scary and emotional experience for not only patients, but family members as well.
Reporter Aaron Fields joins us now. He sat down with a family member who shared his hospice experience as he was losing his wife. Aaron?
Good morning, Tim and Alicia. Yes, I got to talk with Todd Kuster, who recently lost his wife to cancer. He told me about their journey through hospice and how much of a blessing it was for him and his family. He said he couldn't have made it through the whole experience without their help. Todd and Terry Kuster were high school sweethearts. She was the cheerleader and he was the football player. The perfect match. They got married and had 4 kids. One child tragically passed away 2 weeks after being born, but other than that, they seemed to have it all, until one day, everything changed.
Terry passed out on church on November 1st, 3 years ago today. And right before she passed out, she leaned over and she said, "I think you better get me to the doctor."
Terry Kuster had 2 tumors growing in her brain, and then months later was diagnosed with cancer. She went through surgeries and different chemo treatments. The surgeries were successful, and everything was going well for over a year.
Around this time last year, the tumor came back.
The tumor came back worse than before. She went back to treatments and tried everything, but nothing worked. Todd said by February of 2018, she couldn't even walk. He says she couldn't eat on her own anymore or do any other simple task. Her vision then started going.
I cooked a chicken breast and I'd cut it up and she would eat the 3 pieces on the right side of the plate and then she'd look at me and say, "Todd, I want more." And there were 5, 6 more pieces on the plate that she couldn't see. And I sit there and I wonder how that was affecting her psyche.
Todd says Terry got to the point where she knew there was nothing else she could do and decided to put herself in hospice.
And then you sit there and you go, when am I going to die? Because Terry was going to die. Her physical body was shutting down. The tumor was getting to affect too much. And so we went on hospice.
Todd said it was ultimately Terry's decision to get hospice, and it was one of the hardest decisions they made together.
And when she told the doctor, it was almost as bad as when they told us of her disease, because I knew that it was going to be the end.
Todd said hospice was the best thing they could have done. He said during that time, he could tell Terry was in a lot less pain. Hospice helped with everything. He says for people that are skeptical about hospice, to ask themselves one question.
I look at it this way: do you want to die alone or do you want to die with help? And they not only helped Terry, but they helped me.
Terry was on hospice for 19 days.
She passed away March 27th at 3 o'clock in the morning. When Terry died, my world for a little bit just crashed.
Todd says the first person he called was one of the RNs that worked with hospice. He says they took care of everything for him, from calling the people to get Terry's body to telling him what to expect next.
And if I didn't have hospice, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know who to call. And so, yeah, it was, they took care of it all.
I asked Todd what Terry would say to all the people at hospice if she could see them today.
And she would say, "Thank you." And if she could, she'd hug them.
Yes, Todd says if anyone has any worries about doing hospice, they shouldn't. One of the nurses that helped him and Terry were actually at the interview when I was there with Todd. He immediately went up to her and hugged her and thanked her, and you could just like tell how grateful he was for everything. I think I got more emotional during the interview than he did, but he just wants his story to be told so he can encourage people to go through hospice and not be afraid of everything. So it was a really good story, and I'm glad I got to share it with everyone.
Incredible.
Yeah, we're so grateful for Todd for being willing to share that story too. Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
Oh, thank you.